Like Module D, Module E only has one document. And that's because this is your reflection on your teaching, and it's also kind of self-assessment. You're going to be looking at a document called the Continuum of Teaching Practice, and I'm starting within the actual foldering system to show you that this is really just a partial part of that document. I've taken and recreated a lot of the continuum into Google Docs, into table format, and I've included a little hyperlinked table of contents just for your ease of use, as well as an example of what it should look like with guidelines and things to notice. So I'm going to encourage that you read through that again and also browse through this. But really, I'm only including our power standards. So I want to direct your attention to the CSTP resources so that you can see that the entire continuum, or at least the latest iteration of it, is included in PDF format so that you can browse through. Before you even touch the continuum in year one, I really encourage you and want you to review pages 2 through 7 alone or with your CT. And you don't have to read it in depth, but I do want you to understand about the CSTPs, and I want you to understand about the continuum itself. I will say at this point, though, that the continuum is just that. It is not a rubric. It's really important to think of yourself as an educator as always growing, always changing. And as you innovate, you may drop into the beginning levels of the continuum again because you're trying something brand new. So while you might not be a brand new teacher, when you try something new, you may drop to the emerging level on the continuum. So it's a very fluid thing. You're going to be going back and forth, and there's no shame in that. I just wanted to point that out to you. Now, these developmental levels go from emerging all the way to innovating. And when you look at our version, innovating has been left off, and that's on purpose. The innovating level is an extremely, extremely high level of achievement, and I'm wary about even using the word achievement because, again, it's a continuum. When you are innovating, you're definitely not doing it in all of the CSTPs. Usually when we're innovating, we're trying something brand new and we're doing it at the very height of our possible teaching prowess. So you just don't even worry about that level right now. And in fact, if you are a year one teacher, you're going to focus more on the emerging and exploring levels. And then as we go through the 2 years, you may be moving into applying and or integrating. So I wanted to point that out to you, but now I'll navigate back to our version of the CTP, or the Continuum of Teaching Practice. And I want to show you that in January and May, you're going to be interacting with this document for both years. So if you're a year one teacher, you're going to look at it in January and then again in May. If you're a year two, in January and then again in May. And that's on purpose. It's right before portfolio reviews. And I want you to think about your practice related to this continuum. Each level has a description of the practice that goes with this element. So connecting learning to students' prior knowledge, backgrounds, life experiences, and interests, each level, each performance level describes what an educator does to be at that level. So in emerging, you're just developing an awareness. Maybe some students are connecting the learning to their prior knowledge, backgrounds, etc. But if you're exploring, you're actually gathering information about students' prior knowledge. You're talking to them about it. You're collecting some kind of interest inventory, and students might be participating in a lesson here or there, a sequence of lessons related to their interests and experiences, and so on and so forth. So as you read, you always start at the left and move to the right to find out where you are. So you'd browse down and look across. Now in this example, January is going to be pink, as you can see from our color key right down here. This teacher has said they're at the emerging level in year one on the first time that they do this, and that's fine. But notice that in year two, there's half yellow down here, so the students still very much are at the emerging level, but the educator has moved up to the exploring level, and you can see how that's yellow. And then again, year two in January, you're going to highlight green. So you can see how this teacher is moving across the continuum in all levels. And something that I'm noticing is that the teacher has moved ahead faster than the students, which is just fine. That's why they're set apart, because sometimes we move faster than students and sometimes the students move faster than we do. All right. So I'm going to come down to this level to show you real time and in a much larger format what you will do. In January, all you're doing is highlighting. And so let me show you how to do that. You're going to select whatever text you want to highlight, drag down this little text color window, and then it's going to automatically be on text. You want to change it to highlight, and then just select from this top row to get the correct color. And we're going to use that red color because it's a year 1. All right. And maybe the students are actually doing some lessons. And so we'll put that. All right. So I hope that the highlighting isn't too mystifying. That's pretty easy. And really, in January, it is pretty easy. You're just going through every single one and you're rating yourself based on the continuum. In May, I'm going to add another level. You are going to highlight again, but now you're going to look back at your whole year of induction and you're going to find any evidence from induction that supports this CSTP. It may be an observation or a Module A document or a Module B document, etc. So you'll just copy the title of that document, show what folder where it can be found. So this one can be found in the Inquiry into Teaching and Learning Year 2 Inquiry 3 folder. And then what today's date is, the day that you are just completing the continuum. That'll just show growth. So as you add evidence, you'll see the date is going to change because you'll be in May of year 1 and in May of year 2. This person was ahead of the game. They were in April, and that's just fine. And you're just going to do that for each of those. Some standards are really short, like element 1.5. Some standards are longer, like 2.3. You can see there are many more facets to this standard. So I encourage you to give yourselves some time, maybe even 2 meetings when you get to the point where you're actually adding evidence. But this format is so much more user-friendly. And I've included a hyperlink so that you can review the pages of the continuum by just clicking, and it'll automatically open that CTP or that big CTP document, and then you can review the instructions. So again, read through this, and I hope that helps. Have a good time self-assessing.